You signed up for the 5 a.m. class. You showed up every single day, and somehow your belly got bigger. That is not a motivation problem. That is not a discipline problem. Something inside your body flipped a switch, and the harder you pushed, the more it worked against you. There is a pattern that keeps showing up in research, and it does not get nearly enough attention. Women who commit to intense daily exercise routines, women who are consistent, disciplined, and genuinely doing everything they were told to do, sometimes end up with more belly fat than when they started. Not less, more. And when they try to talk about it, they are met with the same response every single time: you must be eating too much. You must not be working hard enough. You must be doing something wrong. But what if the problem is not what they're doing wrong? What if the problem is what they were never told? This pattern is not an isolated case. It is not rare. It is linked to a biological process that happens inside the female body, a process that most fitness advice completely ignores. And the reason it gets ignored is simple. Most of what the fitness industry knows about fat loss was built on research done almost exclusively on men. Women were added later, as an afterthought, with pink dumbbells. So what is actually happening inside the body of a woman who trains hard every day and still cannot lose belly fat? It starts with a hormone called cortisol. Cortisol is your body's primary stress response hormone. When you are under pressure, whether that pressure comes from a deadline, a difficult conversation, or an intense workout, your body releases cortisol. That is normal. That is what it is supposed to do. The problem is not the hormone. The problem is what happens when that hormone stays elevated for too long. Research has found a consistent association between chronically elevated cortisol levels and increased fat storage, specifically in the abdominal region. Your body, when it senses ongoing stress, shifts into a preservation mode. It reads the situation as a threat to survival. And in survival mode, the last thing it wants to do is burn its emergency reserves. Instead, it holds onto them. It protects them. It stores more of them right around the midsection, where they are closest to your vital organs. And here is where it gets harder to ignore. High-intensity exercise, the kind that leaves you gasping, the kind that is sold to women as the fastest way to results, triggers a significant cortisol spike every single time. One workout, one spike. Fine. The body recovers. Cortisol drops. Life goes on. But 5 workouts a week, back to back, without adequate recovery? The cortisol never fully drops. It stays elevated. And a body swimming in cortisol does not behave the way the fitness industry promises it will. This is not a theory. This is associated with measurable hormonal disruption in women who engage in what researchers call chronic cardio, sustained, high-intensity exercise performed too frequently with too little recovery. And yet the advice keeps coming. Do more. Push harder. Add another session. The situation here keeps getting worse when you factor in what cortisol does to another critical hormone, insulin. When cortisol rises, it triggers a cascade that makes cells more resistant to insulin. Insulin resistance means your body has a harder time processing sugar from food. That sugar does not disappear, it gets converted and stored. And where does it go? Back to the belly. Back to the exact place you are working so hard to shrink. So the cycle looks like this. You train hard. Cortisol spikes. Insulin resistance increases. Your body stores more fat around your midsection. You assume you are not working hard enough. So you train harder. And the cycle tightens. This is not a willpower failure. This is biology operating exactly as it was designed to. But there is another layer to this that almost no one talks about, and it has to do with the timing of the female hormonal cycle. A woman's body does not operate on a flat hormonal baseline the way a male body largely does. It moves through phases. In the first half of the cycle, estrogen is dominant, inflammation tolerance is higher, and the body responds well to physical stress. Recovery is faster. Strength output is higher. The body can handle the pressure. But in the second half of the cycle, the phase after ovulation, the hormonal environment shifts. Progesterone rises. Body temperature increases slightly. Resting heart rate goes up. The body is doing significant internal work, even at rest. And in this phase, the body's tolerance for external stress drops considerably. Research has found that women who push at the same intensity in this phase that they do in the first half of their cycle are significantly more likely to experience elevated cortisol responses, disrupted sleep, and increased inflammation markers. And when sleep is disrupted, the problem compounds. Sleep is not passive. It is the single most important recovery window the body has. During deep sleep, the body releases growth hormone, a powerful fat-burning, muscle-repairing signal that does the exact opposite of cortisol. Growth hormone tells your fat cells to open. Cortisol tells them to lock. When sleep quality drops, even by an hour or two, cortisol the following morning is measurably higher. That means the workout you do on 3 hours of poor sleep is starting from a hormonal position that is already working against fat loss before you even put on your shoes. And this pattern happens more often than you might think. The woman who trains every morning at 5 a.m. is often the same woman who stayed up late to finish work, whose mind was still running when she finally got into bed, who woke up feeling unrest but pushed through anyway because the class was already booked. Her body never fully recovered from yesterday's session. So today's session is not building on top of a recovered body. It is adding more stress to an already stressed system. What worries most researchers who study this is not that women are lazy. It is the opposite. The women most affected by this pattern tend to be the most dedicated. The ones who never miss a session. The ones who feel guilty on rest days. The ones who have been told repeatedly that consistency is everything and that pain is progress. Consistency is important. But consistency applied to the wrong stimulus, in the wrong hormonal window, without adequate recovery, does not produce the result anyone is hoping for. So, what does the research point toward instead? The shift is not dramatic. It does not involve doing less in a way that feels like giving up. It involves doing differently in a way that works with the body's actual biology rather than against it. The first thing the research consistently points to is recovery as a non-negotiable. Not optional. Not something you earn after a hard week. A built-in, scheduled, protected part of the process. Active recovery, slow walks, gentle mobility work, stretching, keeps the body moving without triggering another cortisol spike. It tells the nervous system that the threat is over. And when the nervous system believes the threat is over, cortisol drops. The second thing is intensity distribution. Not every session needs to be maximum effort. In fact, research has found that women who mix lower intensity sessions with occasional high-effort sessions tend to show better hormonal profiles over time than women who push hard every single day. The body needs contrast. It needs to experience both stress and rest before it adapts in the direction you want. The third thing, and this is the part that gets the least attention, is the role of strength-based movement over pure cardiovascular output. Muscle tissue is metabolically active. It burns energy at rest. Building it through controlled, resistance-based movement does not produce the same cortisol response that sustained high-intensity cardio does. And over time, more muscle means a higher resting metabolic rate, which means the body is burning more even when it is not in motion. This does not mean cardio is the enemy. It means the version of cardio that was sold to women as the only path to a flat stomach was never the whole picture. It was one tool, used too exclusively, without the hormonal context that would have made it useful rather than counterproductive. The research is pointing somewhere. It has been pointing there for years. And what it keeps pointing toward is this: the female body is not a slower, smaller version of the male body. It operates by different rules. It responds to different signals. And when you train it according to the rules it actually follows, rather than the rules that were built for someone else, the response is different too. What happened to you is not a failure of effort. The system you were handed was simply not built for how your body actually works. Every woman who trained hard and saw the wrong results was not doing something wrong. She was doing exactly what she was told, in a framework that was never designed with her biology in mind. That is not a personal shortcoming. That is a gap in the information. And gaps can be closed. If this video changed the way you see your own body and your own results, share it with one woman in your life who has been pushing hard and feeling stuck. She deserves to know this too. Subscribe if you want to keep seeing content that actually respects female biology. No shortcuts, no generic advice, no information built for someone else handed to you with a different color. Real science. Real answers. Every single week.